Hey guys, it's Izzy here with a weekend reading vlog. So today is June the 3rd, it is 3 o'clock and I have no idea what it is. Thursday. So I am reading the Iron Kingdom. This is taking me a while to get through. I mean, look how big that is. It's nonfiction, so it's pretty dense. So where are we starting today? Escalation. It says in the 1840s and I'm on page 436. So we are about to get to that. I am doing the audiobook because y'all did see how big it was and I'm really glad that it had an audiobook. I've never read a nonfiction that didn't have an audiobook. But for some reason, I'm only scared that they're not, because I feel like nonfiction, and a lot of nonfiction I read isn't as popular as fiction, at least on BookTube anyways. What are we going to do today? We are going to read that. And excuse me being a raccoon. It's from my mascara yesterday. I'm terrible at getting the mascara off. I basically just leave it. I try to get as much off as possible, but it doesn't always work out. But in an hour, I will be fixing my face and getting dressed because we are going to go on my monthly trip to Barnes & Noble. I did think about going to Books A Million this month. Books A Million is not in my city. It's in one 45 minutes over. But I heard really bad things about this Books A Million. It's in Sumter, South Carolina, if you're wondering. And I've just heard, my friend said it sucked. And then I saw some things about the Sumter Mall on Reddit about, they were like, that thing they call a mall. And I'm like, that's making me scared. And it's really stormy and all that. And I don't want to go on the interstate and that kind of weather and all of that. So, and I'm going to be going to a Books A Million probably later in the month, but I'm not going to get into that right now because I'm not 100% sure if I am. So, but a different Books A Million, not the one in Sumter. I need to put in here what page I'm starting on, which I told you 436. When I do audiobooks, I'm usually doing stuff on my computer as well. I'm probably going to be playing Webkins. Yes, I play Webkins. It's fun. It's nostalgic. Yeah, I don't need to make excuses. It's fine that I play an online game. Don't judge me, but if you want to judge me, I honestly don't care. So I'm gonna get to reading and then I'll talk to y'all. So I still have more to read, but I wanted to give an update for chapter 13. So I'm just gonna go to all the tabs. I'm not doing reviews this month, but since I started this book in June, I didn't know if I would be writing a review for it, so I'm just going with it. So the first one we have here is, this is about Frederick William the Fourth, I'm pretty sure. He was, it says Strauss's, who was like a radical theologian dude. He's a Depression king who was depicted as an unworldly dreamer, a man who had turned nostalgia for the ancients into a way of life whose eyes were closed to the pressing needs of the present. Very interesting. I think when, I don't want to call this modern because it was basically 100 years ago, but I find it fascinating with rulers throughout history who base a lot of their ruling, a lot of their practices on like Romans or Greeks. That's usually what it means by the ancients. I just find that fascinating. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think it's interesting. So let's go to my next tab, is this blue tab. So this is a lot with infrastructure was happening because trains were invented around this time. And this is during the Industrial Revolution. We are in the late 1840s. So the people are like, we asked you for bread and you gave us a stone. That kind of reminds me of America today, where I'm not personally going to give my opinion on the politics, but how a lot of the people in power are just doing what they want to do and they're not really caring about us normal people. So that reminded me of that. And then we had another similarity to America and probably other countries, but I'm American, so I know more about America. So I'm just going to read this little part. It was talking about, okay, this is the first sentence. For many conservative noblemen, their politics were inextricably I can never pronounce that, bound up with elite corporate status. This made it difficult to establish a common platform with potential allies of a more humble station. So I think we can see that today of the rich on top, how they can't relate to us down here, but okay. Whereas the liberals could agree on certain broad principles, constitutionalism, representation, freedom of the press, the conservatives seem worlds away from a clearly defined joint platform. Beyond a vague institution, that gradual evolution on the basis of tradition was preferable to radical change. The conservatives lacked leadership and were slow to form partisan factions. One defeat follows another, Leopold von Gerlach remarked on the 7th of May after 4 weeks of sessions. So I feel that just our divide in America by politics is kind of similar. And then my last tab was just saying lots of similarities to America today. So I'm going to go into chapter 14 now. I don't know if I'll read the whole chapter because I don't know how long it will be, but it's the splendor and misery of the Prussian Revolution. And the first little header is barricades in Berlin. Okay, so I just got done reading for the 3 o'clock hour. I got to page 486, so I'm going to go put that into Goodreads. I'm about to do my makeup. I have no idea what I'm gonna wear yet. Sorry, it just started thundering and I was kind of like, what was that? So 486, I am at 62%. I started this book on Friday, which was May the 28th. So that's how long I've been reading this. I don't read on weekends, and I didn't read on Monday since Monday was a holiday and I was doing stuff. By doing stuff, I literally mean going to graveyards. So I'm going to do my makeup. So makeup, I'm doing an everyday look today. And if you're wondering what an everyday look is, in the time that we have to wear a mask, even though technically, I don't know in Barnes & Noble if you have to wear a mask, but I've been wearing a mask still, even though there's not a mandate. I just feel more comfortable with that. So I just do my eyes. So I curl my lashes and then I do my eyeshadow, which I use this. This is a cheek palette, but I was literally watching an unintentional ASMR video of Kim Kardashian and she was doing it with her makeup brand, but I obviously don't have that. So she would take like the bronzer or take the lighter color and do like her lid, and then on the corner do like the bronzer. So that's just what I've been doing. Then after that, I do my eyeliner and then I do mascara, and then I'm done with my look, and that is just my everyday look. My hair, I only use heat 1 day a week and I've already done that, so I'm not really gonna do anything except like probably brush it out. Again, I have no idea what I'm gonna wear yet. No outfit planned. I don't want to wear just a short look like jean shorts because it is, to me, it felt kind of cold and I'm cold right now. It's been raining here. It is 73 degrees and I'm saying that's cold. That's crazy. But I'm going to get ready to go to Barnes & Noble. Okay, so this is the dress that I chose. I'll show y'all in the mirror in a minute. I did a color generator because I have no idea what color to wear. And purple kept coming up. I don't own anything in purple. That used to be my favorite color. But I feel like the strap's falling. But I don't own anything purple. So that's kind of funny. So I did it until I got blue, basically. There's some purple in this, so I think purple would go good because I am a soft autumn or a soft summer, so I feel like a wine color purple would look good, but who knows. So this is how I do my hair. This is what the makeup ended up looking like. Yeah, I'm probably gonna cut my hair this weekend. By that I mean cut. I do this and cut off till like where your collarbones meet. So this is the perfume that I'm wearing today. Literally Our Moment by One Direction. Yes. So I usually only put on my wrist, but I saw in an ASMR video like 2 days ago where you put in the back of your neck. So those should be the only places that you put perfume. So I put it on the back of my neck as well. So yeah, let me show y'all the outfit. Ooh. There. I'm short. Oh my gosh, I feel like someone just fell. Oh look, I'm gonna stand up. Yeah, that's my outfit. The rain, we love it. We're here. I usually don't go to the YA section, but these covers are really cool. I really like that book. She has another one. It's like the Titanic, it looks like. So it must be an adult book. So we'll go to the fantasy section. Here's some fantasy. It's the Night of 1,000 Lanterns. The last name is Dow. Okay. I don't really know a lot of these books over here. See. I really want to read this series. I don't have the first one, but it's translated from French. Okay, here's DAO is what we're looking for. Okay, which I don't see. So let's go to the main fantasy section. Sci-fi. Look. What's that? The complete series. Okay. B G D. Okay. So maybe over here, DA. So yeah, I'm not serious. But I'll look more. So I do have books by the second author I'm looking for. I'm looking for The Abbot's Tale, which is like an England. And all these are Roman. I don't really get stuff about Genghis Khan as well, which is interesting. There's one of my favorites. So now it's up to me to find whatever I see that's interesting. The 90s. Oh, they're in the East. Are the Lakers gonna get beat? I'm back. I'm soaking wet. It's literally like I just got out the shower or something. But I'm gonna show you off the books that I got. Literally, I didn't find either that I wanted. I wanted it's by Dow. What's the last name? Something with lanterns. I can't think of the name. I said the wrong name in the store, but I knew the last name of the author. Could not find that book. Then the other book I showed you, I wanted The Abbot's Tale, which is set in like Arthurian, I say England. They had books by the author, but they were all his Roman books that take place in the Roman Empire. So not what I was looking for. So I go looking for 2 books, and then I buy 2 books that I just see that I might like. So this time it ended up being 4 because I didn't find the other 2. So let's get into the bag here. So the first one, they are kind of wet, is Cold Fever and Disaster on the Klondike Stampede by Brian Castor. So I watched a show on this. It's just called Klondike, and Richard Madden's in it, and it is on YouTube if you guys want to watch it. It's a Canadian show because this is about the gold rush, the Klondike gold rush, and oh my gosh, this did get really wet. That was the Great Klondike Gold Rush in 1897 to 98, and that is in the Yukon. The Klondike is a river. So that's the first book I got, and these were cheaper, on the cheaper side, because sometimes the hardbacks are nearing $40. So when I get a hardback, I don't want to pay that much money. I'm fine paying in like the $20 range because I am a member, so I get a discount. So I'm fine with that, but I'm not going to pay $40 for a hardback. So next one I got is Come Fly the World by Julia Cook, the jet age story of the women of Pan Am. So that basically explains that Pan Am was in like the 60s and 70s, yeah, between 1966 and 1975. and just all the qualifications you had to go through to become a flight attendant with them. As you all know, I'm an av geek, so I think this will be a lot of fun because aviation and women in aviation. This was in the feminist section. The other was just in the history section. So our next two, well, this one is one that my dad got, but it's really like for the both of us. Bishopville and Lee County, because some of my family originated in Lee County and didn't come this way till like 100 years ago, maybe a little less than that, 90 to 100 years ago. I'm not exactly sure. And I hear a plane right now. We were just talking about planes. So in the last book that I got that was in Darlington County, my second great grandfather and his brother-in-law were in it. So it should be interesting to see if any of my ancestors will be in this one. So then we have two more. This one may be a little controversial, but it is history. And I think it's fine if history is in books and in museums, but I don't think it should be glorified by statues and all of that, if y'all get where I'm going with this. So, and this is not just Confederates, it's both sides. So this is Liar, Temptress, Soldier, Spy, 4 Women Undercover in the Civil War by Karen Abbott. So there actually was one who, I don't know if this will be in it. There is a national cemetery in my city, and then there was a stockade, which was a prison in the Civil War, and there was actually a woman buried there, and this is very odd. So basically she followed her husband, who was a Union soldier, to war, disguised herself as a man and all of that, and she was imprisoned at this place, died of, I think, tuberculosis, maybe. That was a common illness in prison camps in the Civil War. So that was one of the first, if not the first woman given like a military burial in the United States. So I don't know if that will be mentioned in here, but the first one is what really caught me. It's a 17-year-old Belle Boyd, and a void rebel with a dangerous temper, shot a Union soldier in her home and became a courier and spy for the Confederate Army, using her considerable charms to seduce men on both sides. And then we have one who disguised herself as a Union private. The beautiful widow Rose O'Neill Greenhow engaged in affairs with powerful Northern politicians and used her daughter to send Southern information to Southern generals. And Elizabeth Van Hue, a wealthy Richmond abolitionist, hid behind her proper Southern manners, even replacing a former slave inside the Confederate White House. I don't know about the Confederate White House. I'll have to look into that. So yes, I don't know. It was in the nonfiction section, but the way they say it was a cast of real life characters, including multiple people. So I don't know if this is actually historical fiction, but just that sounded really fascinating to me. And our last book is my only fiction book that I got today. This has been on my list for a while, but it hasn't been on Amazon or the Barnes & Noble website, so I saw it in store. And this is in 1739. Eliza Lucas is 16 years old when her father leaves her in charge of the family's 3 plantations in South Carolina, then proceeds to bleed the estates dry in pursuit of military ambitions. And then they're trying to go back to England. I'm from South Carolina, so that's what really stood out. And this is a time period where I am trying to write my own kind of story. Literally only have like the prologue written, so don't like come for me, so don't be like asking about it. But I am trying to write something that is in this time period, but not in South Carolina, but I'm from South Carolina, so I wanted to read something set during then. And that's by Natasha Boyd. And then the one before that was, by Karen Abbott. So those are all the books that I got today. I did get some pretzels as well at the Twisted something. That's not Twisted Sisters. I don't remember what it's called. But I'm gonna eat those little pretzel bites. And yeah, then I'll be reading at 6, and that's when I'll talk to y'all again. So I just got done with chapter 13. So in this, where was the Prussian Revolution? And I'm going to go to the tabs and then talk about what I tabbed. So I know nonfictions are a lot easier to vlog. This isn't really spoilers, it's history, it happened. So there was this one part in the news synthesis section that was, as J.P. Taylor's phrase, a turning point where Prussia failed to turn. They were a watershed between the old world and new. So then let's go to my other tab here that I always do a tab at the end of a chapter, nonfiction, to talk about what I learned and all that. So most countries were, I don't know if I should say being ruled by parliament, they were really, their parliament made a lot of decisions rather than a monarch. But in Prussia, we're going to kind of an imperial system. They were offered to make Frederick William IV an emperor, but he denied for he wants the other princes and all to vote him as an emperor instead of just getting that title, because obviously probably if he did just take the title, that'd probably cause war. But we do see eventually we get the term Kaiser and all that, which I'm pretty sure Kaiser comes from Caesar, I think. It's where that word stems from, like the Tsar. So a Reich, I guess is how you say it, the R-E-I-C-H, is, we first see that word in this chapter. And obviously if you know about that, that's a lot of how Germany was in the early 20th century, early to mid 20th century. So our next chapter is chapter 15, and that is 4 wars. So who knows? We're gonna be talking about a lot of war going into this chapter. Okay, we're on page 531 now. I need to log it into Goodreads. We have the Italian War was our first little section, and like the first line was about that it was no coincidence that Germany and Italy had unification around the same time. I never thought of that. Like, I knew they both did, but I never thought of that it was around the same time period. And then, what was it? Was it 5:30? That was the one. Was it the page? Yeah, 5:30. My headphones are falling. After the Danish War, or during, we're in the mid 1800s. We have a lot of industrious booms, textiles, agriculture, and all that, because we have all this new stuff. We have gold rushes in California and Australia. That's all just adding to that, the economy. So we are at 68% now. So it is 7 o'clock, 7:01. I'm probably gonna take a nap because I'm kind of tired, but I probably won't be able to fall asleep. And then I'm gonna eat some pizza at 7:30, and that's the plan. My hair, it dried so weird, but it's time for the 9 o'clock reading hour. So we are on Prussia's war against Germany. So I guess it's Prussia against the rest of Germany. So I always thought that Prussia was Poland today, like the part of Poland that touches the Baltic. Actually, Berlin was part of Prussia, which Berlin is literally like the capital of Germany. So I was like way off, but Pomerania, which is more of what I was thinking. Some parts of history it was part of Prussia, some parts it was part of Sweden, both. It was always changing. And that's interesting. So where did y'all think Prussia was, or did you always know? And why is my phone going off? What kind of notification? PayPal. So I have to ship something on eBay. Okay, so I am done reading for the day. We're on chapter 16, which is page 556. So I'm gonna go ahead and do all the math parts because that's the stuff that I'll forget numbers rather than words. So 556, which puts us at 71%. I do think we can finish this book tomorrow. Who knows? So that's 556 minus 436. So I think that's 120, but 556 minus 436. Yeah, 120 pages. So this was my smallest reading day of the week, which it was still quite a bit. So tomorrow should be around that same amount. So let's go into my thoughts throughout chapter 15. So this is the 4 Wars chapter. Just a point to point out where we are in history. On the 18th of January 1871, a new German empire was proclaimed in the Hall of Mirrors at the Palace of Versailles, exactly 170 years to the day after coronation of Frederick I as Prussian king. King William I accepted the title of German emperor. So we officially do have that empire term. And a lot of this brings us to the First World War. Now, I could get all into that. I think William II, the Kaiser, is a very fascinating person. I'm not saying I agree with any of the things that he has done, that he did, but I do think he's interesting to read about and to learn about. I watched a documentary a few weeks ago about his physical disabilities and how it didn't explicitly say that led to mental illness, but I do think it is very obvious for a lot of the trauma he had to go through. But we'll talk about that tomorrow when we get to the First World War and all of that, and hopefully it does talk about his life. If it doesn't, I'll talk about it because it is something that I find interesting. So my final note for the night is these people were always at war. The Germans, always at war. This whole 1600 to 1947, they were at war. I don't think Germany's been to a war since, and hopefully they don't go to war because war is not good. But that's my final note for the night. It's 9:32. I'm gonna jump in the shower and wash this mess, and I'll see you on Friday. Bye. Hey guys, it's Friday at 2:59 p.m. and the date is June 4th, 2021. So it's time to start reading. My last day of reading for the week, but not for the vlog, don't worry. So I need to put what page I'm going to be starting on and all of that. So let's go to that. So what page am I on in the book? 556 is the page that we're starting on. 556. So that's where we're starting today. Again, we're doing the audiobook because like I have the audiobook, so why wouldn't I do it? And I will catch up with y'all. Okay, we are on page 603 now. It's 3:55. So I'm going to put it into Goodreads, but we have got to the Kaiser. But before we get to Wilhelm II, or this is saying William, but that's the anglicized version of Wilhelm. So let's put 603 in here. So I'm at 77%. So we first, before him, we have his father or grandfather. I don't remember, because his father did die pretty young from, I think it was throat cancer. But there's a lot of, I don't know if I should say isolating, but it's in this time, turn of the century, we are getting a lot of Americanized music, movies, that kind of stuff, dancing, Argentine dancing. So for the common people. So soldiers aren't supposed to dance that way. An American way is when they're in uniform, they're not supposed to be around people who do that. And then, so we have these becoming very modern when you have the imperial family who's going back more to not ancient, but going back to old times. We see that. And then let me talk about the Kaiser Wilhelm II, because it didn't really go into, they're like, he's a narcissist, but we're not going to explain what led to that. He was born, I forget what it's called, is it breech, when the babies turn the wrong way? I think it's when they come out head first. They could perform a C-section, but it would probably kill the mother at this time in history. And she is like the empress, her husband is the emperor, so the doctors didn't want to risk that. So back then, and until I think the 60s or 70s, there were like pliers that were used to pull the baby out. And that's how William had to be born. And that caused his, I think, left, I don't know which arm it was, but I'm pretty sure it was the left arm to be it got kind of paralyzed into his body, where it was kind of up like that. It's paralyzed. So he had to go through a lot of things, or practically torture, to try to fix this. Electric shock therapy, and there were some where they would just try to pry the arm, even though it is like paralyzed. This caused a big rift between him and his mother. His mother was British and the favorite daughter of Queen Victoria. So there was a big rift between the two of them, because she was really distant from him because she couldn't believe that she made something like that. basically they saw him as messed up because he had that arm disability. And she would frequently write to her mother, Queen Victoria, about the things that were being done to him to fix him. And that's how we know that those things were done. And then the doctor, I think there are journals from him as well. So he went through all of that. And then he was very close with his grandmother, Queen Victoria. So seeing that his grandmother is Queen Victoria, that also means his first cousins are, who will later become King George the Fifth, I think 5th of England, and the Tsar Nicholas II of Russia. So take notice that all these men are first cousins. So Queen Victoria dies in his arms in 1901. This causes him to like kind of hate England in a way. I think it probably stems from his mother as well because of that relationship that they had. After Queen Victoria dies, it's kind of where he snaps in a way. And obviously all these countries do go to World War I in about, I don't know, like we're gonna say 10 to 15 years later. After Queen Victoria's death. So he is a very interesting person in history to learn about and read about. So we're at this part in the book of this early 1900s, late 1800s, where this is the Prussia I know about. I didn't know much about the 1617 and early 1800s Prussia. So now it's stuff that I understand. So I'm maybe not as annotating as much because it is stuff that I already know, but it is still interesting to read about. So it's 4 o'clock now exactly. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I am done reading until 6. Oh, I do need to package something for eBay. So I do have an eBay shop. The link will be down below in the description of this video. I sell Funko Pops at the moment is what I'm selling. So if you guys would like to buy a Funko Pop, you can check there. Yo, this is what happens when I'm laying on the couch. Yeah, I'm not gonna spend my time doing that. But it's 6:01 now. I changed right time as saying it, so it's time to read. We're on this little section called Army and State on page 603. And I'll update y'all when I'm finished. Right, so y'all are kind of crooked because you're on my iPad. But I just finished chapter, what was it, 16? Yeah, chapter 16. So let's go to my thoughts, how we do here. So, on that little section, the army or state and army, I didn't know that Germany had colonized other places. So this is German Southwest Africa, which is modern day Namibia. They had a genocide there, really, and I had no idea that that happened. So it is something I'm going to have to research. I had no idea Germany colonized places, and I had no idea that they had a genocide, which is obviously not cool. So then this book randomly just goes into World War I. No build up. We're talking about the genocide. And then it's talking about these fronts, and I'm like, is this before World War I? Is this World War I? It's World War I. I feel like it was like the whole first chapter of this book was the birth of the empire, or the birth of Prussia. I feel like there should be a chapter to the downfall, because really World War I was the downfall of Prussia, because basically America wouldn't have it. They were like, we're not good until you get rid of, you abolish your monarchy. So Willem II goes to live the rest of his days in the Netherlands, and that's what happens. So then there is this paragraph that I found interesting. I'm not going to read because it is quite long. It's about 2 paragraphs about how the Netherlands has always been kind of where the Prussians would retreat to, where they found solace. And I thought that was interesting, going back to Elector John Sism. I can never pronounce it. There's a lot of Polish monarchs with this name, Sisman, whose conversion to Calvinism, that's not like the proper way to say it, but in 1613, and then Frederick William and during the 30 Years' War, just all throughout history. I thought that was really interesting. So that's all for chapter 16. Ripping this out to say we are going to the last chapter, chapter 17, which is named Endings. And this is Revolution in Prussia. And the first sentence says, at the end of October 1918. So we have about 60 pages left of this book. I think we're probably going to get Hitler in this section, because that's the time period we're in, and obviously this time in Germany, that's who you think of as Hitler, Nazis, all of that. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot of that. And it is currently 6:22, and I'll be reading until 7, or until I finish this, I don't know. But till 7. 7's my stop point, and then we'll read again at 9, but I'll talk to y'all at 7. Okay, so I didn't update at 7 because we grilled out, had hot dogs. I ate like 3 hot dogs in 5 minutes. No chill for me. Then we drove around and I had ice cream. So let's talk about this. Nazis, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, so I have 3 tabs here. No, actually, is it 4? Yeah, it's 4. So let's go to our green one. I think this time period is really fascinating, that between wars, at least when I was in school, we didn't really learn what was happening in Germany at this time. So they went from a republic, they went from, like, you know, empire or whatever, to a republic, to a democracy. I may have that backwards. So I think it went from republic to democracy, which, yeah, there was a lot of violence. It wasn't a safe place because obviously wars cost a lot of money, and Germany had to pay a lot. I did learn about that, but that was after World War II. I'm just assuming for World War I, you would have to pay a lot for a war because you have to rebuild and all of that. I think that's every country and like every war, there is cost a lot because for weapons and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not a war expert, but I think this time period is just interesting, of between wars. I read a book in January, The Paris Hours, that is Paris in between the wars, and it was very much art was rising, be it music, writing, painting. It was like Ernest Hemingway was there, and a lot of other American singers, especially black, who couldn't, because America was so racist, couldn't really make a career in America. They would take their talents to Paris, London, wherever, because it wasn't as racist there. They could sing in clubs there that had white people and all of that. Let's go. So yeah, it looks like it went from republic to democracy. So obviously in this time, we have a lot of anti-Semitism. I never pronounce that word right, but you know what I mean, racism towards Jews. So this is like, a lot of it stemmed from Christianity, which is, I'm kind of a shock, but not really at the same time. It was basically this guy, Niedlich, Joachim Kurd Niedlich, he said, he became a well-known as an exponent of a racist Christian creed rooted in the notion that Jesus had been a heroic fighter and God-seeker of Nordic lineage. And I never heard of this. I mean, I guess this is something that we wouldn't learn really in America anyway. Just the idea of that's like, what? Yeah, and it goes in to break the neck of the Jewish satanic snake with his iron fist. So again, iron fist, you know, communism, and that is something we see a lot. A lot of people wanted to be like the Bolsheviks in Russia and bring communism to Germany, but a lot of the government people didn't want that. There's this one quote here from Count Andreas von Bernstorff Windendorf. He said, "Only a dictator can help us now, one who will sweep an iron broom through the whole international parasitic scum. If only we had, like the Italians, a Mussolini." Like, just all this toxic stuff that was happening. I'm laughing because I'm like uncomfortable, but it's wild, it's crazy, just to see. Obviously a lot of this is built towards World War II, so let's see what this tab is. yeah, there was a bloody Sunday where a lot of people were killed, protesters and just everything. It said even after the events of the 17th of July in Altona, when the SPD in Berlin learned that a coup was immediate, nothing was done. And that just kind of rang some bells for our current society. But the main government people in Prussia did not want Hitler in power. They did not want the Nazis in power. They tried to get Hitler arrested, but the Nazis won in a landslide election. So just to think how confused I think a country could be after a First World War. Yeah, just, I don't know, it's kind of crazy to me. This obviously skims over it because this is just about Prussia and not about all of Germany. So I'm gonna be really fascinated once I get to the World War I nonfiction book that I have. Yeah, it's just crazy to think about all this kind of stuff of what led to these wars. But it is all, yep, it's exactly 9 o'clock now, so I'm going to hopefully finish up this book. We have exactly 40 pages left, and I will catch up with y'all when I finish it. Okay, guys, so I finished the book at 9:50. It's currently 10:26, but I was doing a Red Dead trail while listening to the book. But if you want my full and final thoughts of the Iron Kingdom, you can check out my Goodreads review, which will be linked down below in the pinned comment. But to let y'all know, my Goodreads reviews are not full reviews as they're on my blog. I do it every other month, so this month is a Goodreads month, so it will not be a full in-depth review, but it's gonna be just the overall thoughts. So let's see, how many pages did I read today? So 688 minus 556 is 132 pages. Let's put that in here. That's on that page. So that is all that I read for the week. Ignore Monday because I accidentally put Tuesdays and Mondays. But I read over 100 pages every day, so I'm proud of myself for that. So then let's do this page's read page, and it goes over the max. There. So I've read every day this month, but again, I do not read on weekends. So as I said, I did a trail on Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm going to show y'all the one I did. This is the Fire Lookout Tower Trail by Charlotte's Trails. I'm going to leave a link to her website in the pinned comment as well, because I do these trails every Friday night, and she posts like new trails on Reddit every week, but she does have her own website for just to see the overall trails. They're ranked by easy to hardest or to expert, so they're for all levels of the game, whichever one you are more comfortable with doing. The first one I ever did was an expert one. It was the Native American reservation. I do not remember the name of the tribe because it's fictional, but that was the first one I did, and that was an expert level. The one I did today was easy. It took, what is that, 16 hours and 30 minutes game time, which was 40 minutes real life time. But we're going to see which nonfiction book I'm going to read next. There's one stuck on that sticky note, so I am going to take that off, but that's not going to be what I read. So shake it up again, and let's see. Nonfiction I have such a wide variety of. So this is A World Lit Only by Fire. This is a book I got on Book Outlet, so it's on that shelf, I'm pretty sure. So I'm going to go get that, and we will see what it's all about. All right, so this book is actually really small, which is nice. It's it looks like the actual story part is, yeah, 296 pages, less than 300. So this is A World Lit Only by Fire, the Medieval Mind and the Renaissance Portrait of an Age. I like how it says portrait because the Renaissance is when art was all out there and really extra. So this is by William Manchester. I'm just going to read the back here. From Tales of Chivalrous Knights to the Barbarity of Trial by Ordeal, no era had been a greater source of awe, horror, and wonder than the Middle Ages, and handsomely crafted prose with the grace and authority of his extraordinary gift for narrative history, William Manchester leads us from a civilization tottering on the brink of collapse to the grandeur of its rebirth, the dense explosion of energy that spawned some of history's greatest poets, philosophers, painters, adventurers, and reformers, as well as some of its most spectacular villains, the Renaissance. So that sounds really interesting. So the newspapers that have reviews on the back are the Chicago Tribune and the Dallas Morning Star. So let's see how many chapters there are, because that's how we do things around here. There has this thing that says array. Okay, there's literally only 3, so that means 1 chapter a day, but 1 chapter is literally 200 pages. So that's not going to be what really happens, but that's what we'll do for right now. So let's go to page 29 is where we will put our sticky note for 1 chapter a day, even though, as I said, it's probably not how it's going to go, but we'll know when we get there. So 1 chapter, I'll probably end up doing this by pages, so let's actually do that math right now. It was 296, right? Yeah, we'll say 296 divided by 3. It would be like 98 pages a day. So that is quite a big difference. It's a 78 page difference. But I do think it is more realistic than doing the 3. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's put our bookmark in where it is supposed to go, the medieval mine. And there we go, my next nonfiction. I'm not going to tell y'all what book I'm starting on Monday. You should know if you watched my TBR video, which was the video before this, but I will tell you on Monday when I get to that book. But that is all for Friday. Happy